Hi guys, this is Darren from the Filter Shop. Today I'm going to be discussing our activated carbon vessels. Okay, these are units for removing chlorine and organic molecules, bad odors from the water. Okay, you get several different sizes ranging from the 25 litre single bag activated carbon vessel up to the 100 litre carbon vessel. Okay. Now, primarily these units are, as I say, used on municipal lines, okay, where you have high levels of chlorine and some bad odors in the water. They also act as a very basic sediment filter, though that's not their primary purpose. But you can then backwash them and they'll get rid of some of the larger dirt and sediment and things like that. Now, the correct size of activated carbon vessel is going to depend on your flow rate and your level of chlorine in the water. Typically, if you have very, very high levels of chlorine in the water, you ideally want one of the larger units, so you have a greater bed depth of activated carbon, so that you can remove more chlorine, because basically the water has to travel through more carbon, which means it's going to absorb a lot more of the chlorine and the bad odors from the water. Okay, the activated carbon itself is typically from charcoal based, though you do get coconut based ones as well. It's not something we normally source, but if you have a very, very specific requirement, we can see if it's something we can source from our suppliers. Now, when you order a activated carbon vessel, there's several components you're going to get. It's going to be the actual FRP vessel, one of these sizes. The larger ones are available on request. You're going to get either a manual or a digital automatic backwash valve head. Okay. You're also going to get a top strainer as well as a riser pipe and your bottom strainer. And then you're going to get several bags of carbon. The number of bags you're going to get is going to depend on the size of the carbon vessels. Okay. Now, some things to note with activated carbon. We know in the industry that a lot of people just put carbon into every situation. It's not something we really agree with. Don't get me wrong, activated carbon is very, very good for removing chlorine and organic molecules. But if you're looking at using a source water where neither of those are really an issue, so you're not using chlorine and you don't really have any bad odors, such as boreholes, some boreholes, rainwater, or rivers, an activated carbon vessel can actually do more harm than good. Now, the reason is because these units, it's a catch-22, because they're removing chlorine and because they're capturing organic molecules, bad odors from the water, they can actually create an ideal environment for organisms to grow, bacteria to grow, because they're essentially holding food and they're removing the things that are there to kill the bacteria. So in the cases of those situations where you haven't got a bad odor and you're not using chlorine, we would recommend staying away from carbon vessels or carbon block, for example. These units are better used on municipal lines which have heavy chlorine. Because they have heavy chlorine, there's a lot less chance of any bacteria being present. We also recommend changing the carbon every 6 to 8 months in these units. You can push it to 12 months, but the longer you leave the carbon, the more chance you're going to get a bacterial growth inside of it. And that's basically it, guys. If you have any questions about the activated carbon vessels, if you're not sure which is the right size for yours, for your situation, you're welcome to give us a call or send an email to sales@filtershop.co.za. For now, this is Darren from the Filter Shop. Say goodbye.